Trump Organization convicted in NY criminal tax fraud trial. The real estate, hospitality and golf resort operation headquartered at Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue faces the possibility of a $1.6 million fine. What a joke! Just $1.62 million punishment. What a paltry sum. Q Trump: I did nothing wrong, I hire only the best people, but then they're also the worst people to ever exist, etc. Unrelated, but please explain the world we live in where 17 counts of fraud by a company of this magnitude has a maximum penalty of $1.6 million. I presume this is less than it cost the defense or prosecution to actually run the case. Where's the actual punishment? Who cares about this? This just proves once again Trump is untouchable. $1.6 million fine. If any one of us did a fraction of what they did, we would be looking at serious time. Separate rules for the rich is what this proves. Gosh, when you look at all of this together, it almost starts to seem like maybe he's just as incredibly guilty of literally everything he's been accused of by literally every person on the planet not in his weird, creepy little cult. Wait, you mean to tell me that the organization that was defrauding a charity they ran also committed tax fraud? I'm shocked as. It's so fucking stupid that an organization can be convicted without a single person facing consequences. Crummiest piece of shit president ever. His whole life has been business fraud. Hopefully Warnock wins today, making it a trifecta of bad news for Trump today. Every time I see a headline like this, I'm hoping to see jail time attached. $1.6 million fine. They will do it again. How? How does this man keep getting off on shit? Over the countless illegal things he's done, how does someone like lawyer Michael Avenatti get 14 years in jail but nothing ever happens to Trump? Does he have shit on that many people? Is the system that corrupt? Do his lawyers have special superpowers other lawyers don't have? Why does this dick keep getting off the hook so easily? A $1.6 million fine means legal for a price. Wake me up when Donald Trump is in cuffs. The orange ball of failure is a disgusting fuck-faced cunt indeed. So, like, when does Trump go to jail? Just hoping asking. When are we actually going to hold Donald accountable? The real estate, hospitality and golf resort operation headquartered at Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue faces the possibility of a $1.6 million fine. Wow, the rich really do have their own justice system. Sick of this fat orange fuck and all his dipshit knuckle-dragging worshippers. Everyone that supports Donald Trump is an enemy of the state. But Republicans keep saying it's the Bidens that are the crime family. And yet nobody in the Trump family is held accountable. It's a start. You have to start somewhere. Good job, New York. Thank you, New York. Trump Org should not only pay fines, but someone else should also serve jail time. What is the point of being found guilty of criminal tax fraud and the CEO and CFO not go to jail? And yet no name Trump will face any consequences. Fucking $1.6 million fine. Trump gets that in one email to his stupid followers who give him money. Too bad the organization did the crime and not any people. The Trump Corporation and the Trump Payroll Corporation, not Mr. Weisselberg in this particular case, were found guilty. Yet, the Trump Organization calls the verdict simply preposterous. To which I respond, what they did was preposterous, not the verdict. What's preposterous is that the fines are limited to $1.7 million. Remember when the Clinton Foundation was convicted of tax fraud? No? That's right, it never happened. Screw you, Trump. This is excellent news. Shows how the average jury will respond when actual people are charged. So will New York's corporate death penalty come into use here? Now we'll get a speech from Trump about why tax fraud isn't actually a crime, and Republicans will chuckle about how he didn't mean it. He's getting closer and closer to shooting that person on Fifth Avenue. This highlights a major global problem. The cost of being caught committing high-level fraud is absolute peanuts compared to the returns. This alone should be enough to prevent him from running for presidency. Criminals run criminal organizations. Just saying. Trump and fraud? No way. Looking forward to how this is the Democrats' fault, as well as Ben Shapiro using 15 seconds of his show to mention it. Shocked that a real estate company as reputable as the Trump Organization could possibly have engaged in commingling. Good thing Trump didn't own a small peanut farm, he would have had to sell it before being elected. You just know that Teflon Don is going to come out of this without any charges. Everyone around him will be going to jail, but he'll get away with this. Fucking guy. Here it comes. I hardly knew the Trump Organization. I mean, the name sounds vaguely familiar, but we haven't spoken in years. Wake me up when some action is taken. 1.6 million. They bought a judge. All Trump businesses should be liquidated. This whole thing is crazy and so fucked up. They're charging a company instead of a person. Is this what Citizens United brought us? Corporations as people so that no one is ever held accountable for crimes and the company gets a minor slap on the wrist? $1.6 million to corporations that generate billions is like fining me .0000001 for a serious infraction. You can hear the moans from here. It's political hit. Why is it always the news site with a paywall being sent to the front page? My CFO? Never heard of him. In Trump's whining social media post from this morning, he claims that the state of NY hasn't prosecuted any murders in 6 years. I find that very hard to believe. Does anyone know the origins of this weird claim? Should probably get a fine for that oversized suit jacket too. This is behind a paywall. A fine of less than $2 million for 17 counts of fraud, conspiracy, etc. is practically asking corporate America to do more of it. That's not even a drop in the bucket. They'll just chalk that up to the cost of doing business and keep doing it. Shameful. I remember in 2016, one of my classmates was mentioning how all he cares about is that Hillary is a criminal and criminals can't run the country. It's time like this where I wonder what he's thinking. Everything and everyone around Donald Trump is a cesspool of crime and corruption, yet the cult is still worried more about Hunter Biden's mystery laptop and what they think is on it. And you can bet criminal charges will follow. Should have claimed those $600 bribes. Something as complex and many-headed as a tax fraud case, but the evidence was so obvious and damning that the jury only took 10 hours to deliberate. Seems like quite the smackdown. A fraudster trying to defraud a country? What a surprise. May he continue destroying the conservative base. A potential $1.7 million penalty for several $100 million of tax fraud? Seems legit. Not surprised to know he's guilty, not surprised to see he'll face no punishment. This is like Dr. Evil demanding $1 million in ransom. So I commit a crime and I get jail time. I incorporate and I get a fine. The Bloods and Crips need to incorporate. About as shocking as Liver King's steroid usage. My God, has he actually been charged with a crime and found guilty? So when does he get a sentencing trial? Even though it came close, I think the sheer reason America didn't implode during those 4 years is the strength of our democracy and all the good people working in it. Thank you. What a pos that POTUS was. History will not be kind to us. Not a single director or officer doing jail time? Fines are just the cost of business to these guys. As always, the American justice system is weak. The fact that this has been going on for around 15 years proves how broken capitalism is. There is no justification for an entity to be robbing and stealing for so long. There are probably hundreds of other organizations doing the same thing. This operation should have been disbanded and the ringleaders in prison for this a decade ago. There clearly is zero accountability on these rich goons doing this. That is until an individual becomes president, then it's so let's analyze the financials. A lot of people give this sort of crime a pass because everyone does it. Problem is it's a cop-out because if someone they weren't emotionally invested in did this they'd cite this as reason one after the whole terminate the Constitution thing to not vote for him. Shit, it's not even run-of-the-mill company car tax fraud that a lot of people engage in. Same idea, several layers scummier and more obvious. And none of this will change his supporters' minds whatsoever. Florida man loses again. Someone put handcuffs on that organization and put it in jail. We all know corporations are people too. Oh no, the witch hunt is finding actual witches. Everyone with half a brain know he is one of the world's worst grifters and crooks. A crime punishable by a fine is legal for the rich. Guys, the wheels of justice take time. We just gotta wait until the Republicans are back in office. Shit, I see a flaw in the wheels of justice taking too long. It's a small club, and we ain't in it. This is the exact reason why owners, operators and other executives should face his charges. Otherwise, what incentive is there to follow the law? Another loss for the loser. Make $16 billion, pay a $1.6 million fine. What a warning to others, rolling eyes face.